All right, we are back. We are back with a new camera. Actually, a pair of them. All right, back to the pond. I haven't been here in quite a while. I went pretty much almost the entire year without coming here. This is a great little pond. We are testing out the GoPro, the DJI Osmo Action 4. So we're going to go through a couple of things as to why I did the change and why I didn't go with the 5 instead of the 4. But yeah, I think the task today is to just test things. I think the a little rusty. I think the task today is to just work these cameras in kind of a worst case scenario. We got a lot of fog, we're raining, super low light, and so this seems like a good way to introduce myself to the abilities of the DJI Action line. I also figured it would probably be a good idea to just give you guys an update, as I have not released a video. We're going on almost 3 months, so we're gonna try that. Unfortunately, I forgot my boots. I'm gonna have to stay a little bit back from the bank. It is a little grimy. See how this goes. There's one. Well, it didn't mess around at all. Man, I think that was like my 3rd cast, and look at this. Got a really, really nice crappie. There we go. Oh, and there it goes. Here, hold on. Let me see if I can get this guy. Yes. All right, let's set up the other camera real quick. Well, there we go. There is the first fish with the new cameras. 2 DJI Action 4s and a massive, massive, beautiful crappie. Sweet. That's the way to start it out. All right, let's get this guy back. Bam. So it has been a while. I know, it's been almost 3 months since my last video, but wow, look at the backlighting here and the sound over there. Everything should be really, really solid here today. We've moved on to DJI. GoPro is no longer a thing in my life. I'll explain why as we go, and I'll try to explain my absence a little bit. So with the sirens in the background, I am, and I don't know if you can hear those sirens or not. Not sure about this mic setup quite yet. Seem to have it fairly dialed in, but I'm curious as to how the background noise goes. So that siren in the background there that just completely dissipated should be a pretty good indication of what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong with the cameras. I'm in pretty much the worst, well, not the worst, but I'm in a pretty big low light situation here. And this is a really good way to test out these cameras. So, first off, folks, I apologize for the long absence. As some of you commented and, that know about particular health conditions that I have, yeah, that was it. I was having really hard times getting around for quite a bit since pretty much the beginning of October. I went out on a trip with OnlyFins and Randall Rides at the beginning of October. I returned from that trip and everything seemed just fine and everything. But then I started to have massive hive attacks. Like, my body looked absolutely ridiculous. My legs would be covered in hives one day, the next day it would be the arms. It was nuts. And that went on for almost a month straight. No amount of antihistamines and whatnot was stopping that stuff. So there was that, and then I went into a typical psoriatic flare and was having some pretty difficult times walking around. So I decided just to not push things and try to just heal up for once, and try to get, I'm never going to be 100% again, but try to get up to 70, 80, 90%. So I think I'm at about 70% right now. Things are okay. Joints are moving fairly decently despite this clearly massive low pressure front that's going on. Those usually set off the psoriatic arthritis, and I'm actually feeling okay. So we're gonna try to do a lot more of this, especially over the next month or so, before little ponds like this start to freeze up. And by all indications, this year's been pretty cold so far. So there's a fair chance that this stuff is going to get a pretty solid block of ice on it in a month or so. So just trying to get out here, do what I can. I got extremely lucky right out of the gate. I think that was my second or third cast when I got that crappie. That was good stuff. Now, one of the things that I'm interested in with this camera and this audio setup, those birds that were just going off, can we hear them? Over my voice, which is probably, the audio is probably dialed in maybe 3 decibels too high. We'll see about that as we go here. But that's part of the idea, is to get out here in crappy conditions and tune in these cameras to basically do what I need them to do without having to screw around with too much stuff, or at least make them to where I can just do a bluebird setting and a cloud cover setting and just be done with it. That was something that I could never do with GoPro. Those things are terrible in low light. And then when you get them out in the best of conditions and they're looking perfect and everything, they just overheat. And I got so sick of everything, things overheating, especially on the kayak where I've got a 2-camera system on a single remote. Basically what I'm saying is I was having to babysit GoPro, and I finished off with the 12s. I looked to see what the 13 had to offer. It kind of looked like they built a heat sink on the thing and it was going to be a lot better with heat, but as it turns out, it's not. And as far as the performance, I mean, they added HGL HDR, but it was kind of the same situation. You can only use HDR and 4K and 5.3. You couldn't use it in any lower resolution, which is pretty much required on a hot summer day for what I do. And I got sick of it. So what you're looking at is the DJI Action 4. Now, why didn't I go with the 5? Well, because the 5s they still need to do some tweaking with the firmware. I don't know how else to say it. A lot of the video that comes out of them just looks way over processed, way over sharpened. And this camera, the Action 4, is a lot more to my liking in the way that it processes video in the camera before it ever even hits post-production. And the few experiments that I've done so far have looked pretty good. What I really like is the river stuff, especially the skinny water stuff where there's just tons of shadows everywhere. It just looks great. And it's not as bright, it's not as colorful, but it's also not exaggerated. And I think the GoPros may have been, all the video that came out of them always looked absolutely fabulous, except for the shadows. And that's a huge deal for my channel. I mean, I'm basically, a river kayak fishing guy. I tend to stick to skinny water. And there were a lot of times, well, let me back up a little bit. I was super excited about the 12 because of the HDR. And man, the GoPro 12 HDR, it looks really good. It really does. The problem is that the way that I use these cameras, where they're in hindsight or pre-record for the DJI, it always looked really good, but when using them in pre-record, or hindsight as GoPro calls it, they just don't last very long in the summer. I got to be really careful here because I am not in mud boots. So I'm basically using the Osmo Action 4 right now. I've only tweaked one thing, and that's just to take the sharpness down one peg. That's it. Everything else is automatic right now, and it should look really good despite the low light. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking right now, do some fishing, move around this pond a little bit, and see if we can get into a couple more of those crappie, because that first one was just absolutely awesome. There's another. Ah, it's a bass. Nice. Oop. Damn. I'm back here. There we go. 2 species. Pretty quickly. All right. Whoop. Almost ate shit. I am rusty. It's been a couple of months. So just a quickie for you. This is the camera in the linear mode. As I'm walking here, the audio is coming from this camera. That camera is what you're seeing. It looks pretty good. Although I'm losing my bag off my shoulder here. Yeah, it's been pretty good. I'm gonna have a feeling that this part's gonna be okay. Probably catch a couple of fish out of this area, so I'm gonna go ahead and shove that in the ground. Oh man, just lost one. Let's try to leave it right there. No. Let's try that again. At any rate, that is going to do it for me, at least for now, unless I start to catch a bunch of fish, and then that'll become a different video. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you soon.